welcome everyone to another episode of the Digital Toolbox Podcast. I'm your host, Emmanuel Tejada. I own Landscape Maverick. We're a digital marketing agency for landscapers, hardscapers, and concrete contractors. Today, we have a very, very special guest for you guys. We have one of the best in the industry. We have Craig Daniels, ladies and gentlemen. Craig, introduce yourself, man.
Hey, how you doing? I'm Craig Daniels, out of Chicago. We're working a lot in California right now at the moment. So yeah, I'm good. I'm glad to be here. Glad to be on the podcast.
Dude, yes, sir, dude. And it's a pleasure to have you on because the work that you've been doing, man, is amazing. Because I found out about you or found you through Mike from Creekside Outdoor Living, and I had him on the podcast. And I saw you guys were at the Unilock event, and I was like, man, this is awesome.
Mhm.
So tell us, Craig, man, somebody who's been living under a rock, who doesn't know who you are, who doesn't know who Prolific Outdoor Living is, who are you? Who are you, and who is Prolific Outdoor Living?
Yeah, so my name is Craig. I am 31. My birthday is actually June 20th, so I'm about to be 32, getting old. I started the company 4 years ago. Like everyone else, we started cutting grass. I hired some employees because it was just getting too much, so we got into landscaping. Landscaping turned into hardscapes, and now we're strictly designing and building projects. So we started out in Chicago, and we just expanded to Silicon Valley in California. So it's a good market out here, and it's going really well. So yeah.
That's awesome, man. And right away, let's talk about it because you said you started out in Chicago and now you're in
Yeah.
California.
Mhm.
Who does that? That's not a normal thing. Most people tend to say, "Oh, I'm successful here. I'm just gonna be, stay here. This is my area." But you wanted to expand, and I'm a big fan. But what drove you to do that?
Yeah, so the market it was kind of slow. It's a good market in Chicago, but it was kind of slow. And then we had my friend Tigran Gertz out of Go Gang. He encouraged me a lot to move to California. He was like, "Man, just take the leap." So I made the leap. Uh, Expanded there. We got a lot of cool projects, a lot of cool designs going on right now. We're going to put some projects in the ground. So yeah, it was a leap, it was off a leap of faith. And just knowing that I could come out here and excel and having the support of people like the Go Gang members and other contractors in California, having a real support system and yeah, just taking that leap of faith.
Dude, that's awesome. And I think Tigran is not originally from California, right? I think he moved there over
Yeah,
time.
yeah, he's from Chicago as well. He's from northern Chicago, so it's kind of like footsteps.
I didn't know that. So you guys were both from Chicago and both took the leap to California.
Yep, yep.
Dude, that's awesome, man. That's incredible. And I know that Chicago has some areas that are not the best as far as safety and like what's. I mean, I like a lot of rap music, so I like a lot of Chief Keef. I know he's from Chicago area.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So what area were you from when you were in Chicago?
So I'm from South Chicago, where it is bad. But from South Chicago, we moved to the South suburbs. It's pretty much the same thing. Um, but yeah, but just to get out that environment and start excelling, not taking what's in front of us and controlling our own path. So that's really important. So yeah, but yeah, definitely from Southern Chicago, and now in
Let's go. And now that you're in California, because you've been there for about a year, you said,
California.
how's the California life? I mean, what's changed? Like, do you have family that moved out there with you, or like how's life out there?
Yeah, so I came here by myself actually. I actually came here with just a carry-on suitcase, laptop,
Oh man.
phone, and some clothes. Started fresh, no nothing out here. But I did know Tigran. I did know a couple contractors out here. So yeah, just started fresh. Started marketing. Started getting some jobs going. Um, so yeah, no family moved out here with me. Came out here by myself. But it was a great move. It was a great move. I came out here just focused and determined to like take over the area and just come out here with the best designs and the best work and high quality everything.
Dude, I love it, man. I love it. So, dude, let's get into it. Let's get into it, man. So now you're at a point where you said that most of your work is design work. So how does that work per se, right? Because when you were in Chicago, you had you were designing, or your team was designing as well, but you guys were also building out those projects, right?
Yeah.
So
So
now that you're in California, you're not building as much. Is that the case?
yeah, so in Chicago, what we were doing was we was designing and building. So I had a team in house, but when you have a team in house, you got to make sure you hire the right people. You got to make sure they're coming to work every day and building that team culture. At that time, I didn't really know how to do that part. So the people who I was hiring, people wasn't showing up. They wasn't, putting in quality work, things like that. So uh, about 50% of our jobs we did in house. The other 50% we subbed out, things like electrical, uh, things like pergolas, pools, things of that nature. We subbed everything out. So I just
Mhm.
said, why don't I just sub out everything, the full job? So what we started doing before I left was actually doing the design work, and then we work with contractors now who can put the projects in the ground. But before all of this, I was out building the patios. I was out putting the plants in and everything, getting dirty. So people meet me now when they say, oh, you don't want to get dirty. Don't. I be like, I've done ran excavators, bobcats. I don't put patios in everything. So yeah, we pretty familiar with everything. Mhm.
Hey, that's awesome, bro. That's awesome. And and is it still like, because when I think about it, right, like most of my clients too, they make most of their money, or they make all of their money from building the actual projects, right? The actual taking the design and building it out. Now that you're at a point where you subbed everything out, is it still profitable
Yeah.
to do design
So it's
only?
um so it's so the profit margins are really important to focus on. So let's say you get $100,000 job, you might only profit 20%. Um so it might sound like a lot, like companies may say like we do 1 million, 5 million, but they probably only profiting 20% or even 10% of that a year. Um
Mm.
so when you're doing design work, you can push out as many designs and so you can push out as many designs, project management fees, and things of that nature, and then just fees from hiring a contractor. So sometimes it add up, sometimes it doesn't, but I'm not limited to how many jobs I could take on a year or designs I could take on a year. So I would say it's more profitable, but some people do like running a team and things of that nature. But I rather design and sub out, do it that way. So yeah, but I would say it's probably like 50-50 within like making more money having a team or just designing and subbing out. Sometimes you make the money, sometimes you don't. But it's the same with if you had like an in-house team. Sometimes you'll make profit on the job, sometimes you won't. So yeah. Mhm.
Gotcha. So you said that the average, I guess, the typical profit margins for design work only is about 10 to 20%. So if somebody, let's say somebody made $1 million, they're profiting
I know, no, no.
100,000.
It depends. So we have employees. So if we make $1 million, we might profit about 700,000.
Holy shit!
But if I make a million with if I make a million in construction, I might only profit 200K um for that year.
Whoa!
You know what I'm saying?
Hold on, that just blew my mind. Holy shit! So,
Yeah.
but who's paying for? Like, how much does the average like high ticket design rich guy in California? How much would they pay for a design?
So they'll pay around high ticket, rich guy, nice house. They want the full works. I say anywhere from 13 to 17,000 for design and plans.
For a design?
Yeah.
Holy shit! And what's a lower ticket? This guy's not working at Tesla. This guy's working. He might be making $1 million a year, perhaps, but like lower ticket. How would that range for?
So our minimum price for a design is 5,000.
5,000. And what does that entail?
That might be a front yard, a simple plant design, maybe a backyard plant design included with the 3D renders. So it'll come with the renders and the plans. So that's what that would entail. So it'll come with the landscape plan. It'll tell you what plants, where they go, what gallon, dimensions. It'll come with the lighting plan and things of that nature. But usually for like 5,000, you'll get like a landscape plan and dimensions. You get all the plans, but it'll be a landscape design, just strictly plants.
So it's what they would take to a contractor in their area to get built, or you would connect them with a sub.
Yeah, so we have a concierge service where we connect them with the right contractors, and they'll pay us to.
And do you profit off that? Like, as far as, do you get paid maybe like a little kickback for connecting them with a contractor?
Yeah, so it's all percentages. So it could be anywhere from like 3 to 15% to just a project manager, and then on top of the design fee.
Well, they would pay for the design, and then the percentage comes from the subcontractor. They give you the percentage.
No, so they'll pay for the design, and then they'll pay for us to project manage it. So we built this communication and we built this bond, and we're bringing in trusted contractors, so you don't have to do that footwork, and then we're watching them.
Oh,
So they don't sign a construction contract with us. They sign a construction contract with the company we bring in. So we just making sure we're just basically the main point of communication. Because if you're spending 750,000 on the backyard, um, it's a lot that go into finding the right contractors. But if we have a team of contractors who's used to these type of jobs, that's something that you'll want to pay for, because that'll save you a lot of mistake, a lot of time, and things of that nature.
dude, yeah, I can imagine. In fact, that makes a lot of sense. Actually, yeah, you're right. Like, imagine spending 750K. What's that extra couple thousand gonna do? Right? You might as well pay that and be secure that you're working with somebody that's gonna handle all the headaches, all the bullshit that comes up.
Yeah.
That's actually a good investment.
Mhm.
So yeah. So, and that leads me to my next question, Craig. So, in your world, as far as being mostly or running mostly a landscape design company, um, how do clients find you? Are they still looking up landscaper near me? Backyard, outdoor living company near me. Is that how they're finding you? And instead of you doing their development or the build, you're just creating the design.
Yeah, so it's mostly right now. It's mostly word of mouth, but a lot of people do find me on like Google or Instagram and Yelp. They're searching like designer, landscape designer. Some people don't expect to find a designer, and they're just searching for the contractors, and they come across us. Then we just explain to them the value of having a design for a project, and then that's how we seal the deal for that one.
Yeah. So somebody might be looking for a contractor, but instead they reach you guys, and you're like, hey, listen, we don't build, but we do design, and here's the importance of a design. And then when the design is done, we'll project manage it for you from A to Z. Make sure you have no headaches. Is that kind of like the flow?
Yeah. Yep.
Gotcha. That's cool. And do you find that often? Like, does the common person know that before they start building a project that they need a design?
Um, some of them don't. So they don't know because uh, I wouldn't say they're not educated on it, but they it's not popular right now, but it's becoming more popular. A lot of people just want to make designs just because they look good, but you really need plans to make sure nothing goes wrong. Things are where they go. You know how much material to order. You know, for the contractor, and then for the homeowner, you want to make sure that they are getting exactly what they want. When you invest in that high ticket amount of money, you wanna know and you wanna see what you're getting before you get it. So that's the importance of it. But sometimes they don't ask, sometimes they don't know that. So we explain it to them in detail.
Gotcha. That's cool, man. And I would have expected that, yeah, because it's most typical people. They want the backyard, they want to spend time out there, but they may not necessarily do a ton of research, right? They
Yeah.
rely on somebody like yourself as an expert to kind of guide them through it, hold their hand through it.
Hmm.
Because in life, we're not all experts in everything, right? I mean, we may look at a doctor, me and you might look at a doctor and say, damn, that guy's the smartest guy in the world. But in reality, he's smart in that area.
Yeah.
But, when it comes to maybe technology, he may not be the smartest guy. Or when it comes to landscaping, he may not be the smartest guy. I think that's a cool thing about life in general.
It is, yeah. And so they might find a contractor or some people don't know what they want. So you have to
Mm.
find a designer to basically like what you like to do, your hobbies, your interests, what you like, so we can design the backyard. But some people might find a contractor who's only good at building, and he'll just go back and throw just some random stuff everywhere because he's not a designer. So it'll kind of out of touch, and then he probably don't offer designs. So when the customer do finally get it and they spent this money, they might not even like what they got. So that's why it's important to have a design and work with a designer for that.
That's very, very true. That's very true. And now, like, let's clear it up too. When we say design, that includes everything from a 3D design where they can visually see what it would look like, but it also includes the blueprints that you would hand off to a contractor, right, with exact numbers,
Yeah,
exact details.
right. So um, you get enough information to hand any contractor these plans, and they'll know exactly what material to order. They'll know where to order it from if they want. They know how much to order. And it's like nothing can go wrong because we done spent so much time uh, getting it down packed to what we want, where we want it. So when it comes time to build it, we don't want anything to change. So uh, those are detailed. Those plans are, so you get measurements, elevations, you get materials and how much of it and things like that. So it's super detailed. So even if a client was price shopping, they could just make copies and hand them out and get bids back. The contractors may not even have to see the project or the property because it's just so detailed.
That's awesome. So you guys even help the contractor too, because now they don't have to do as much groundwork because you guys already did it for them.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
That's awesome, man. And that leads me to my next question too, because you're obviously a leader in the space. Like, you're one of the top designers right now out there. You and your team. Um, what's your relationship like? Because you mentioned that the design includes materials and what type of material, where to get them from.
Hmm.
So, what's your relationship like with things like Techo Block or Unilock or all these other vendors? Do you choose what would work best per property, or is it like, how does that work? How do you know what material they need and where they should source it? How do you determine that?
So so our relationships with the manufacturers are really good, especially Unilock. I just started working with Techo Block since I moved to California, only because Unilock isn't out here. But I'm trying to get some Unilock shipped out here for some projects. Get it out here. So based on like the architectural style of the home and the colors and things of that nature, we'll come in and we'll say, okay, this goes good with this. If it's like a historic home, then we want to use historic but modern materials. So it's some materials we can't use for that because it won't look right. Sometimes we'll source like the original brick from the house so we can add that to the space just so it can look like it was built with the house. But depending on the house, that's how I always determine what materials to put on it. Mhm.
Oh wow. So it's not like, okay, let me choose the vendor that's gonna give me the best price, or the one that's gonna give me the best bang for the buck. It's like what actually serves the client most, what's gonna look more like their home already, what's
Yeah,
gonna give them the best result in the end.
yeah. And if a client does something maybe costs too much, then that's when we start taking things out of the design. So we'll never go put like some cheap material just to get that look. Um, because it's like high end luxury backyard. So um, we don't try to use like the most expensive material, but we try to use the ones with the most quality. So sometimes that might be the cheaper product. But yeah, so that's
Dude,
person out. Yeah.
that's awesome, man. And so this whole time, throughout this whole process, you kind of like have in mind what the client wants to spend on the project, and then you choose materials according to that.
Yeah, so we'll get their budget up front when they pay for their design, and then that lets us know like where we got to stay around. So um, sometimes we come back on budget, sometimes we come back over budget, sometimes we come under budget, depending on the space and what the budget was.
Yeah. And in that same scenario, then let's say that it's a small backyard, relatively small, but the details are very intricate. You need a specific fire pit, you need a specific pergola. Um, do you charge based off the size of the property, or the size of the project?
So it's just I charge off the detail that's gonna go into it, and so we charge off the detail, and we charge off like how big the property is as well. So like, especially if there's stuff like elevations or if the house, because in California they like just notorious for the houses, the backyards being on steep slopes, so
Mhm.
things like that. Um, and just how long, so like an estimated time, like how long the project could take.
Yeah. So, for example, like let's say that there's a small backyard. That project is going to be $60,000, which is small compared to what you've done,
Mm.
but it needs a lot of detail. You would still charge, $15,000 for it, even though they're only going to spend like 60,000 to build it.
Uh,
Is that
so if
possible?
it's something like 60,000, then we might be in like the 10 to like $7,500 range.
Got it.
Yeah, and it's not the design you're selling; it's the value that come with the design. So it's it's like not making the mistakes of building the backyard without the plan, and maybe 2 years from now ripping it out. It's having a like trusted contractors build the relationship, just professionally putting everything where it should go. It's like having flow, making sure it matches the family, making sure they can use the space for gatherings or whatever they choose. And yeah, it's just the value you get from the design. So it's kind of like when you go to a dealership and your budget might be 10K for a car, but the car you always wanted was 20,000. So and you like this car a lot more, so you're gonna go with that $20,000 car, even though it's maybe out of the budget, but you see the value in it. So people will pay whatever for value. But if they don't see value in it, then they might say, okay, that's too much, or and things like that. But that 20K car is really too much, but you're not seeing it because you know the value in it. So yeah, that's pretty much how we operate.
Dude, I see exactly what you mean. I know exactly what you mean. And what about this? We know that from the construction phase, if somebody goes with, even if they have the world's best design, if they go with a cheap contractor to build it out and they use cheap materials and they don't know what they're doing and they don't take preventative measures, the whole thing would be messed up, right? So,
Yeah.
is it possible to have an amazing contractor that has a bunch of experience and they do amazing work, but they have a bad design? Is that possible at all? To
Yeah,
have
yeah.
a bad design that hurts the contractor or the contractor's not able to do the work properly?
Yeah, so you can have a bad design. A bad design isn't like a low quality 3D render. A bad design is something like that doesn't have flow. Like for instance, like a kitchen would be in the back of the yard. A patio would be at the lowest point of the yard because it'll collect a lot of water. And another thing, you don't want the kitchen all the way in the back because you're walking with food back and forth, so it's tricky.
Mm.
It's it's just a lot of risks. You can have something like a pergola built to where the sun still comes through it, but you want it shade. So, but all that in like one design is a bad design. It's like bad flow, bad placement, um, wrong material choice. It looks like it was just put there, and it doesn't look like it was built with the house. Things like that would be a bad design to me. But yeah, you can have a bad design, but have like a really good contractor, and they probably a good contractor will spot it out. But most people probably just build it anyway.
Build it anyway. Damn, bro, that's crazy. And I didn't even think of that actually. That's how you know that you're a specialist at this. I didn't think of like, okay, it's an outdoor kitchen. You don't want to have it too far because they're walking with the food out. You want to have the shortest distance as possible. Um, damn, that's I can see why you guys get paid the big bucks because you guys think of the things that most everyday people wouldn't think about.
Yeah, and then it's kind of like, and then just the backyard is outdoor living, so it's kind of like taking your house, like when you walk out your room, you got the bathroom right there, you got the kitchen, you got the family room right there. Everything is tight, but it's not really tight. And if you pay attention, a lot of depending on like the price of the house, all the kitchens are the same sizes, all the living rooms are the same sizes, the bathrooms are almost the same size. So if like you just take that and put it outside and just get rid of the walls, it's pretty much the same thing. So you
Damn, yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, you can have an outdoor kitchen area. The fire pit area would be maybe right next to the kitchen because it serves as like a living room. Because in your living room you can probably see right into the kitchen. Is really close, so we kind of keep the same formats, but then we spice it up with like elevations, and this might be a step down. We might separate instead of walls. We're using landscaping. So yeah, that's pretty much how we see it.
Man, that's awesome. That is awesome right there. And dude, let's move on because I have so many questions for you, man. This is awesome so far. I'm really liking it. Let's get into mentorship, right? I know that you work with Tigran, and who else in the space have you gotten mentorship from?
So Tigran, Gertz, Cruz, Lon, Preston. He got Hardscape mentor. Ian McCarthy. I had so many mentors, like it was crazy. So I used to spend my money like on shoes and clothes and stuff like that, but you don't get no return on investment, or you look cool, but you ain't got no information. So I stopped doing that and started spending all my money on mentorship. So just taking classes with Ian McCarthy, joining Go Gang, just getting like tips and tricks from Preston. All great guys. And Cruz Line too. He taught me a lot. He taught me maybe like 75% of everything, like how to build, he started me off with like how to design. So yeah, that's pretty much in that field.
Dude, I love it, bro. I'm the same way too. I'm really big on investing into myself because at the end of the day, that's our biggest investment, right? We're our own what do you call it? Transparent ceiling or our own glass ceiling.
Yeah.
So I'm a huge fan of investing into myself as well. In that on that same aspect, at what point do you think that a young landscaper or a young designer should start investing into mentorship? Would it be right up front before they even start, or would it be after they have some money, or when do you think is the best point?
So once you make the decision to want to be in this industry, I would get the mentor then. So before you even do anything, because there's so much we don't know. Like we think running a business is, we're getting all the money up front, and it's so much we don't know. It's like how to run the books, making sure we're making money on the project, knowing how to pay people and employees, making sure we don't get audited by the taxes. What else? It's a lot, but I would say get it up front, because coming into it, you want to come in right, and you don't want to come in and fail, then get the mentors and then start back over. Failing is good too, though. It happens. So um, yeah, but if it was me, I would have came in and got the mentors right off back. I kind of did, because I didn't start really taking off until I got the mentors.
Oh, love it, man. And what about when it comes to being a leader? Like, how do you work? Like, first of all, how many people do you have on your team right now?
So right now we have 6 designers.
6 designers. Wow.
Yeah.
And how do you lead them? How do you build the culture to where, like, okay, you're the leader, you're calling the shots, but your guys and your girls are good people that have good morals and they're gonna do good work and they're gonna stay motivated and disciplined. How do you go about that?
Yeah, so you pretty much lead by example, and you got to lead by example with just by tapping into yourself, always learning from people who are doing better than you, um, having the right mindsets. That's like it's not competition, and you want to be the best version of you, not better than anyone else. And then just taking these positive traits, and then your team is going to follow you. So if you're a bad leader, or if you're a bad, you're just doing things wrong, always trying to get over, those are the type of people you're going to attract. So leaderships, it definitely starts with you, and I would say just 100% work on yourself, read, meditate, just be the best version of you, and that'll trickle down to your teams for them to want to be the best version of them in order to grow the company, because they'll be at their best self. If they could be at their best self, then it'll reflect on the company. Because back
Dude,
then,
1000%.
yeah, I wasn't a good leader, because I didn't know any of this, because I didn't have a mentor. So I was just hiring my friends and just hiring random people. That people wasn't showing up. I wasn't giving it 100%. So my team reflected that. So now that I'm moving different and I know better, I got a lot of better. I got better people now.
Gotcha. Yeah, dude, and that leading by example is key, man. Because and like you yourself, you're a fit guy. you are a good person, and therefore that kind of trickles down to your team. What else do you do outside of design and landscaping and business? And by the way, Craig, can you come more toward the middle
Oh, totally. Yeah,
of the
my bad.
screen? Yeah, yeah, all good, all good. But yeah, what do you do? When you're not landscaping, when you're outside, what do you do? What are your interests?
So I'm always like taking walks. Like I literally was just on like the hammock working in the middle of the woods, on the mountain. So just stuff like that, earth type things. Paddleboarding, running, working out, cooking. I like to cook, and reading too. And that's about it.
Dude, I love it, man. So this guy's truly an outdoors person. It's not just for designs. He actually
Yeah.
loves the outdoors.
And that's why I think like I can walk on a property and it just come to me because like this is just my lifestyle. So people they ask how hard it is to design. It's not like it's like breathing to me. So I can come up with something like super fast.
Dude, that's awesome, bro. And one question for you as well, Craig. It's like a bit of a random one, but it's like they say that the person that works at Starbucks goes home and they don't drink coffee. They don't indulge in that outside of work. In your case, in your home, do you have like a nice backyard, like a super nice front yard?
No, so I got like some simple landscaping, but it's nothing crazy. But eventually, I will eventually, maybe like next summer, because I just moved out here, so I'm just trying to get everything. But yeah, when I do, yeah, I do plan on having like a crazy backyard.
Damn, bro, that's awesome. That's awesome. And are you gonna have like something detailed to you that you like, or are you gonna have like a techo block pavers on this side and the unilock on that side, and like use it like as a portfolio showcase?
Yeah, probably. But I don't know which one between Teco and Unilog. They probably watch this and then be like, "Oh, you said you rather have." But whatever is going to be, it's going to be really cool and really unique. Probably like something never before seen, for sure.
Never before seen, dude. I love it. And how do you go about that, by the way? Because how do you create unique things every single time? Like how do you guys take aspects of one project, maybe put it into this project, or is it always from scratch? How does that work?
Yeah, so it's always from scratch, and I always, depending on their budget, I always try to think outside the box. Because every design is nothing that's the same. It may be the same, it might be the same fire pit and things like that, but
Mm.
none of them look the same. But I would say, yeah, everything is definitely made from scratch, and just knowing what the customer like, what they're into. So even if we put a patio, we try to make that one patio unique. If we got an outdoor kitchen or a pergola, we try to make them as unique as possible that to fit the customer. So it feels like they really got an extension of their home and they can relax and because we trying to bring them, we want them outside more than they're inside. So yeah, it take a lot to uh, come up with something that we want our client to sleep outside. So that's our.
That's true, though. That's true. They eat outside. Do they actually sleep outside, like on a hammock or something?
No, I haven't had nobody told me they slept outside yet, but they spend a lot of time out there though for sure.
Boom. Love it, man. Love it. What about haters and struggles? What are some struggles that you have faced? What are some setbacks you've experienced? Some haters that you've encountered?
Mhm.
What's that been like for you?
So I would say some setbacks. I had a lot of setbacks, a ton of setbacks. But overall, I always kept pushing, kept moving forward because my reasoning for being in the industry is really strong, and it's not to be the best designer, but it's for what's after that, like family wise and longevity wise for the brand, things of that nature. So that always kept me going. But like haters and just people who talk down on you, or I ignore them, or I try to ignore them. Like I don't know why haters are my motivators because they don't motivate me to do nothing. But I don't like them. But yeah, sometimes it could be people close to you, somebody you thought was your friend or that you thought was a mentor, and they'll be talking down on you. I done been through stuff like that. But I never let it phase me. I always kept going. So whenever I would say that anybody encounters that, Because it's the industry, and like any industry, it's coats, not coats, but circles of friends. Um, it's people who you think is for you, but they really not. I would say don't let it deter you, and to always keep going, because once you start being on your destiny to be great, then stuff like that is going to come for sure. So it's on the way. If you
Dude.
haven't encountered it yet, it's coming.
100%, man. And can you go a little bit deeper into that, some of those setbacks that you have experienced? Like,
Yeah.
what are some setbacks as a designer, as a business owner that you've experienced?
I would say, so just hiring the wrong people, being on a $400,000 job site by myself, digging and things
Whoa.
like that. Yeah, it was crazy. What else? Not knowing how to manage money when I first started going early on. Not knowing how to price jobs out correctly, and things of that nature. But they never like put me out of business or nothing crazy like that. But when you don't get the mentors and you don't get the knowledge and you're just taking on more work, and you see everybody posting these huge backyards, and you probably thinking like, yeah, I want to get into that. But those are actually the ones that you make the less profit on, those super big jobs. And then what else? And then yeah, that's about it. There's some other stuff we'll probably have to save for another interview, but that's definitely some early on struggles and setbacks. So,
Holy crap, man. What was that like, by the way, as far as being alone on that job site, 400K? What was the problem with that?
um, so just employees not showing up, subs not showing up, not knowing how to find the right sub, just hiring somebody because they do that type of work. But yeah, you can't let it get to you. You can't stress because you the head in charge, so you got to keep it moving. So you got to figure it out because you're the owner of the company. You can't blame nobody but yourself, and you got to take full accountability and get the job done.
1,000%. There's no, yeah, you can't point the finger. You just point the finger right back at yourself as a business
Yeah,
owner. So what was that like? Like you were at a client site, you had a blueprint, a contractor was supposed to come, the client's expecting for them to come, but they don't show up. It's just
yeah,
you.
yeah. And that's when I was in the field too. So yeah, it was just me, just out there in this huge backyard, out there with the excavator, running out, making sure I got back in the excavator. But it just looks unprofessional, and it just gives you a bad rep too, because they'll be like, "Why?" Because they watching out the window, so they like, "Why is he out there by himself?" and things like that.
Man, did you feel like the world was kind of crumbling around you at that point, or like were you just like rolling? You were like, oh fuck it, it is what it is. Let me just get it done.
Yeah, me, I'm the type of person, I don't let nothing really get to me, so I'm always rolling with the punches, trying to figure it out. So, I had more people there the next day, and yeah, just keep moving. I just kept moving. That's all I could do.
All you could do, man. Yes, sir. And what about your time frame, Craig? How's the like how long did it take for you to go from lawn care to enhancements like mulch, maybe trees, then you start taking on some small patios, outdoor kitchens, and then
Mm.
now to the point where you're a full designer and you delegate everything else. How long has it taken you to go from each step?
Yeah, so for me, my work ethic is crazy. So I'm working like all the time. So when I first started cutting grass, I was cutting grass for maybe like 6 months. That was 2019, 20. Yeah, 2019 to 2020, I was cutting grass, and I started like January of 2019, right when the pandemic started, I want to say,
Hmm.
um, 2020. And then from 2020 to 2021, I was doing just all landscaping. So I got rid of my line accounts, and then I went into full landscaping because some days it'll rain when I'm supposed to cut the grass, and then the next day I got landscaping set up, but I got to cancel my landscaping because I got to go back and cut the grass because I missed the day. I just said it's just too much, so I just did landscaping altogether, and that was 2021. So 2021, 2022, that's when the people who I hired to do the landscaping with me, they told me like, we don't like doing landscaping, we don't like laying side, we like building patios, and we like doing hardscapes. So I started selling hardscape jobs. So I went out passing flyers. I deleted all the landscaping pictures, and as hardscape. So hardscape jobs start coming in. So I would say 2022 to 2023. That's when we was strictly hardscape. And at the end of 20, like the mid 2022, it was basically I had a big job that I needed a design on. Well, this designer, he actually found me, and what he does is he designs the project, and then he found a builder. So he liked our patios, and he wanted me to build the patios for him. So he found me, and he was like, you know, how long? He thought I've been in business for like 7 years, 8 years, but that was the first year doing patios. So he was surprised at that. And he just was like, yeah, I'm gonna show you how to design. So he showed me how to design. Um, so for my next project, I designed it first and then I built it, and that's when the design build came. So that was 2022 to 2023. So 2023 to 2024, we just been strictly designing and subbing out. So it
Wow,
all together,
man.
this is my fourth year this year.
4 years. So in 4 years, you went from lawn care to landscaping to hardscaping to design.
Yeah, so it's like every year I just
Wow, man. Wow. And what made you get into lawn care to begin with back in 2019?
So I had a child on the way, and I was working overnights. So I was working overnights at a warehouse, um, and I was doing landscaping. I was like cutting grass in the daytime. So I would go to work like really tired, and then my girlfriend of the then was pregnant. So I was like, man, I can't be there for my family if I'm at work and doing that in the morning because I'll be tired and I gotta clock in and stuff like that. So I just
Yeah.
made the choice to just quit. So I walked out and I just took on landscaping, well, lawnmowing full time. And yeah, so it was profitable. It was probably the best choice I ever made. So yeah, but
Damn, bro. So you went into it out of necessity. It was like, damn, bro, like back is now against the wall. Got the baby coming. You
mm,
can't be fucking around. You got to figure it out.
yeah,
Man.
and I was making for a job I was making like 25 an hour. So it wasn't bad. I could have fed the family off of that, but I was like, I'm not good with like working jobs anyway. So I was just like, I'll just take on the landscaping full
How
time.
come?
Um, I don't. I just know I'm great. I just know I'm supposed to be great, and I could like I always like got promotions and got higher raises, and I was always like the line leader and shift lead and stuff like that. But it just wasn't what I wanted to do. It was too easy.
I feel you. So it was like you felt like you were kind of wasting your potential by just capping yourself at $25 an hour.
Yeah, yeah,
Holy shit, man. That's awesome. So you came into landscaping out of necessity and stayed in it out of convenience. And now you're living in California, living the life.
yeah.
Man, that is awesome. And you know what, Craig? Getting back into it real quick, like what advice would you give to yourself or to that young landscaper or lawn care guy that wants to look, he's looking up at a guy like you.
Mm.
What advice would you give to somebody like that to speed up the process of becoming where you are today, where you're just successful, you've got designs coming in, you've got projects 24/7. How can they speed that up?
Yeah, I would tell them, like I used to always ask the same question, like how can I used to ask the millionaires, like, how do I get rich? How do I make more money? And they would always tell me, like, it's all about your mental, and they would tell me like stuff like that, and I'd be like, man, I don't want to hear that. I want to what how. But it's really like that's really the answer, like knowing why you in business, and it's not about the money. Once you shoot for the money, that's when you'll kind of get lost. So I started making real well money when I started wanting to help people. So I stopped chasing the dollar and I started chasing helping these people, bring their families together and creating a space where they can just, spend time, make memories, and things of that nature. So that's my why. So I would tell them to find a why, find a mentor. Those are probably the two most important things. And don't chase.
Well, and you said your why is creating those spaces for people to come, families to come together.
Yeah, and create memories. Cause I come from a nice family, but we wasn't really a family that showed emotion and told her I love you and created memories like that. So I want to bring that together for other families, so they can create memories. They can have birthday parties and invite the whole family to this nice backyard. You taking pictures and videos, and the clients are sending me pictures and videos of the family out and just having events and stuff like that. So yeah, I would tell them find like why you want to be in business.
That's beautiful, man. So it's not just about a dollar; it's about a memory.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Wow, that's awesome. And when did you figure that out for yourself?
Um, I figured that out when I was working harder than money I had. So I'm working hard, 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 but I'm still late on the bills. I'm still uh, barely any money in the bank account. So I just had to say, like, what am I doing wrong? And I was always chasing the dollar, so I was always hopping to the next thing, the next popular thing. But then when I finally like sat down and got my why, got my you know, what I want to do, what does that look like in 5 years, set some goals, and built towards those goals instead of trying to grow without no path or no plan. That's when everything started coming. It's kind of like wanting to get your backyard done without a plan. Like it probably gonna be chaos by the end, but when you set your goals, yeah, when you set your goals and write them down to get to where you want to go, then it'll be a lot smoother.
Dude, I love it, man. I love it. And Craig, so how can the audience get in contact with you? Whether it's somebody that lives in California that needs a design, or whether it's a young landscaper that might need some advice, what's the best way to get in contact with you and your company?
Yeah, so you can find me on Facebook at Craig Daniels or Instagram at Prolific Outdoor Living or Prolific Design and Manage on Instagram. And those are the best ways.
So awesome. Well, Craig, thank you so much for coming onto the podcast, man. You were an incredible guest, and you have an amazing story, bro. So keep grinding, bro. I'm a big fan.
Oh, yeah, thank you so much.
Awesome, man. Take